So, Sabikui Bisco Episode 1 is an anime that I've had my eyes on since I saw it for the Winter of Anime 2022. And the reason for this is because when I read the synopsis, I looked at it and I was like, this has so much potential to be a smash hit this anime season. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at what Winter of Anime has to offer, there is some good stuff. I mean, we have Demon Slayer that's airing, we have Attack on Titan that aired yesterday, we have My Dress Up Darling, and there's a few other series that do stand out as well, like Akabi-chan or Tokyo 24th Ward. But when you really take a moment to look at, like, the entirety of the season, there's a lot of new stuff. And I feel like when I looked at the premise of all the stuff coming out for this anime season, Sabikui Bisco was one that really just caught my attention. And obviously, the series can take a completely different turn, like a 180, and drop down into the bottom depths of the ocean itself and be one of the worst anime that comes out this year. But at the very least, from what I have seen so far from the first episode, it's actually really freaking good. And I kind of want to talk about it. I want to really just dive into why this has so much potential, and if you actually should take some time out of your day to watch Bisco Episode 1 and maybe the rest of the series. So let's just dive straight headfirst into it. So I found out, thanks to a few of you guys on social media, you guys told me that the director that is working on this series apparently worked on high-profile anime like Kill la Kill, worked on Steins Gate, worked on Fate Zero, worked on, Fate Stay Night, worked on the opening of, Attack on Titan Opening 2 to be exact. I learned quite a bit of information. So when I found this out, I'm like, this director obviously has quite the portfolio of just potential to really showcase how good this actually can be. So Sabikui, Bisco has that power. It has that director that obviously could do this series justice, but we all know at this point in time, it's not just a director that really can make an anime good. It also comes down to the animators, it comes down to the team, it comes down to everyone that works on that said project to really come together and make it. And even if that is a thing, if there's time constraints, or if there is, like, let's say, just production issues, the series, even though they want to get it out and make it the best they can, it might not indeed happen. And so, we'll see where it's going to go. But at the very least from now, there is a lot of potential for Bisco to be a great anime and a smash hit for this season and stand out amongst the crowd. I would definitely say that if there is, like, 3 series that are going to be talked about every single week, it's going to be My Dress Up Darling, Attack on Titan, and also Bisco, and I guess Demon Slayer as well. I mean, I don't know why I didn't count that. That's a no-brainer. But the point I'm trying to make is I feel like those series are going to be the big ones. And I hope that this series does turn out to be like that. So let's get into the actual content and what it's, about. So Sabikui Bisco Episode 1 is actually, how can I say, very unexpectedly different. Like, when I looked at the synopsis, when I looked at the cover art, etc., I was under the impression, when I got into this series, like, started to watch the first episode, I was gonna have, like, an action-packed episode, like, crazy animation and art, and there is some good animation art, I don't want to act like there isn't, but what I'm saying is I was under the impression that the series is gonna be heavy action focused. That was my general impression before watching it. And watching the first episode, there is quite a lot of exposition. Like, there is a lot. And I know how that feels for people coming into a story. I am, as a watcher, I love exposition. I am a huge fan of world building, the lore and backstory of characters. I love that type of stuff. I seek that. That is why I love Mushoku Tensei and, like, ReZero so much, is because of all the exposition and the details. And that is something I've always, sought out when I watch anime. So when you have stuff like this, this first episode, it got my interest, because we have a different, unique type of world, post-apocalyptic, like, deserty looking Japan, with finding out that there's mushrooms that can cause this disease, rust, and then you have individuals that are able to grow these mushrooms instantly with an arrow. There's just so much. There's really just so much to take in. The actual world is so rich and vast that there is so much potential with it. And I saw a few people mentioning to me on social media that it reminds people a lot of Dorohedoro. Hopefully I pronounced the name right. I personally have never been able to actually watch or read that series. I know it has an anime. I know the manga is good. Don't worry. I am fully aware of how many people love that series. So do not worry, I give it a recommendation just by looking at how many times people have recommended that series to me. But I have been told that if Dorohedoro, if I was to watch Dorohedoro, this is kind of what to expect. The first episode of Bisco. And if this is what I can expect from Dorohedoro, then I definitely will probably have to watch or read this series. I'm assuming I need to read it when I need a craving for something very similar to Bisco. But, yeah, so I guess let's dive into the characters. Let's talk a little bit more about the plot, the setting, etc., and kind of what is really going on within the first episode. So we have two main characters. We have, obviously, Bisco, the title character, and then we have Panda, or Dr. Neko, that is mainly the huge spotlight of the first episode. And it's a very interesting direction that the first episode went with in terms of introducing characters, because I've seen this plot line a lot. Like, for instance, you have the support character, be the main focus of a first episode, but you have the main character appear eventually in the halfway point of the episode, and you get a lot of establishing moments with the character at the end of the first episode. But we don't really get that with the first episode, and it's a very different direction, which I'll talk about, and I actually like. So let's get into Panda. So Panda as a character, from what I gathered from him so far, is that he's someone that is kind of like a goody two-shoes, but at the same time, he does do some shady things to be able to help people out. And what I mean by this is throughout the episode, you see that he goes around to collect these illegal, goods. For instance, like a mushroom, to be able to find a cure for the rusting disease. And he's basically cutting legal corners to be able to discover stuff like that. So he isn't someone that's necessarily wanting to always stay on the side of the law. He's willing to break the law to actually do what must be done. So he is flexible, so to say. He isn't a complete kind character. He is willing to do what, like I said, must be done. However, there is a thing that we see from his character as well, is that because of his good nature, he definitely falls prey to others using him. We see multiple times throughout the episode to where, people offer to help or whatever, and he gets used for it. I mean, especially as a doctor, he barely, gets paid anything, and he has such good work, but that's about it. He wants to help people, but he obviously gets used by those around him. So I wonder if that is a character trait that will happen later on. That'll be mentioned more as the story progresses. But then we have our main character, Bisco. And as I said, in terms of his character, we did not get much of him whatsoever. Yeah, we had some scenes with him, but overall, there wasn't really anything. And I feel like the direction that this episode went with him was smart, and hear me out. In terms of what this episode did, it tried to establish Bisco as this savage entity, someone that is evil, someone that isn't good, someone that you would literally throw to the wolves because he is someone you do not want around. That is what the episode tries to reinforce in your head while you're watching, and so your general impression before you really get to see his character is that he's not necessarily completely good. He is willing to kill people if he has to kill people, and I still feel like he is that type of character. I do feel like there is a lot of, stretches of lies and truths on him. And the reason why is because it's clear that the government in this story is hiding stuff. You have the shady dealings with Panda, in this episode, and how he's, basically being asked to go and work for him and all of this. It's very clear that shadiness is really running rampant. And because of that, you obviously can't trust the higher-ups in this broken down Japan. So when you actually see Bisco's situation, I'm under the impression that he is being used as a means of, taking away from the truth. Example, people keep saying that he's like a guy that throws mushrooms around, grows mushrooms instantly to spread the rusting disease, but I actually don't think that is entirely accurate. I actually feel like Bisco is trying to help people in his own way, and that they want to lie about it and kind of keep it under wraps because maybe they're the ones that are, causing people to have the rusting disease, like the actual head honchos in this world. That's my 2 cents on that. So I feel like Bisco as a character, his overall establishment, it's very vague, but I like that direction because we'll probably get more about him in the next episode. So yeah, I gotta say, I really like Bisco so far. It's a really, really good anime, and if you have actually not sat down to watch it yet, I really do. I feel like this is going to be a heavy contender for one of the best stories of this anime season. Obviously, that can go completely in the toilet and be the worst thing ever. Like, for instance, it could turn out to be the worst anime of this entire year, but we'll have to see. I wanted to, point that out, that this series is good, but can obviously still fail. But, yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. And if I give you any form of entertainment, please leave me a like on the video. It does help out with the algorithm quite a bit. And so, yeah, be safe, stay healthy, everybody. Chibi out.